Week 5 DFS recap, the highs, the lows, everything in between. We'll be going through the DFS slate on both DraftKings and Underdog, looking at some of the winning lineups on both sites. We have new Battle Royale winners. We have new people headed to the Dog Bowl. We'll check out my Pick 'em day yesterday. Let's just say I think Underdog's going to be giving me a boost November based on my performance yesterday. I'm Pete Overzet. This is the portfolio review. Let's get to it.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chalkitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto match with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 6v6, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, coach 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
I think at this point, the opening, which I still love, it's like mostly white noise to me, and that I've heard it so many times that it just kind of plays and then the show starts. But for some reason, seeing myself laying on that couch in my old apartment, crying into the pillows, process over results, that resonated with me more this morning than it normally does. That is certainly the kind of week it was for me, process over results, although not even completely, because there's some process tweaks I want to fix. I feel like I have some leaks in my game right now. It's always tough to know, like, are you overreacting to small sample sizes? This is a highly variant game. You are likely only to have 1 or 2 winning weeks at most if you're a solid player. So you don't want to read too much into the downswings. And on the other hand, you kind of want to be constantly improving your process to make sure you are improving. So I definitely have some things that I need to work on. I feel like in general, I've been chasing volume at the expense of quality. With my drafts, I feel like I'm like trying to jam in all 150, get to all the side contests, and that hurriedness has led to, I think, just not building quite as strong of teams as I should. And I'll get into some more specific kind of leaks and stuff that I want to get better at here over the course of the season. But that's what this show is for. It's for celebrating the wins, looking back, trying to figure out how we can get better, and making fun of ourselves in the process. Good morning to everybody in the chat here. GMs. What's up? What's up, Willis? Oh my goodness. Every single morning, or every single Monday morning, David coming in with 5 gifted memberships. Every single Sunday, I get a tag on Twitter about another top finish. Was it the Engage 8 this week, David? You got to remind me. I can't keep track of all your binks and near binks. Congratulations. Thank you, as always, for the generosity. If you get a sub from David, be sure to let him know thank you. And then join us on Thursday for the Battle Royale Bash, where your new membership will get you access to the chat. And you put that hashtag in, and you can come and draft a team with me. Let's see here. Travis says, seeing your UD social media ad on X just doesn't feel like YouTube, Pete. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry. I'm a walking ad for Underdog, so I don't know why it would be any different. Let's see here. Josh says, turns out I should have jammed Bill, not Woody. Yeah, Bill was, I don't really think on the DFS radar. I didn't hear anyone talking about him on either Underdog or DraftKings. I mean, looking at kind of the usage splits for him up to this game, I think it would have taken a pretty big leap of faith to get there, especially on Underdog, where you had Rico and Rachaad White and some other good scroll down stuff. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much over the Bill stuff, and just be thankful that Bill is happening. Bill is going to be a thing going forward, and is going to be glorious. What is up? Yeah, Joey's saying I definitely should have put more thought into my swap rankings. You know, I didn't have too many swaps myself because I primarily draft late in the week. So the only swap I had was Brock Bowers. You know, I had 4 to 5 shares. I went ahead and just did the John Warner alpha play and just moved Taysom Hill up to the top of my ranks and said, I'm going to swap all of my Brock Bowers to Taysom Hill, which I actually don't think was a bad thing. You know, it's only like 5 shares for me. But when we got the notification that Taysom Hill was going to be playing without any limitations, that has been like a go move for us in BR historically. we all know that Taysom Hill can kind of break the slate depending on how they use them. But I will say it, I should pull this up. I did not go full John Warner on this because John sent me his screenshots, and I'm sure he'll talk about it today on the Badge Bros. But John, I think, had like 25-30% Taysom Hill, but that's because John is an alpha when it comes to those decisions. But I'm glad you mentioned the swap stuff. I do have it pinned in the chat there. We made the course, the lesson from the masterclass free for the swap specific section there. So if you were drafting earlier in the week and you had some Bucky Irving or you had some Trey Benson before that broke, guys like Rico, Dowdle, and Rachaad White, should have been premier swap options for you. And if you're new to Underdog and you don't know how to take advantage of that dynamic, or you're unwilling to draft players like Bucky Irving or Brock Bowers early in the week because you just don't want to deal with it, this is definitely something you should take advantage of. We made the entire part of this course free. Just give us the email and it will give you that entire course, the video, all of that good stuff. And you'll learn the swap mechanics, how to move those guys up, and why it's something we should be taking advantage of here. Let me catch up on the chat here, and then we will get into more of the reviews. Brady says, from a cash and GPP player, can we all agree never to go to Jakobi Meyers again? Yes, man, that was just absolutely brutal. As you guys will see here, I had Jakobi on some of my best teams. I played him on Underdog. I played him on DraftKings. And the thing that's so frustrating for me is it was the next rung of the Jakobi Meyers ladder, in that even when Brock Bowers plays, he always projects well. It's that median projection. Historically over his career, he's been a target earner. He's a quote unquote good player. And yet normally I think most of us would have been like, all right, we're not waiving this. We've already seen how this year is playing out. Geno Smith is playing horrible. They're spreading the ball around. Trey Tucker is a legitimate real thing. And I think all of us would have been like, yeah, we're good. And then Brock Bowers is officially ruled out, which was kind of a surprise. Early week, midweek, it seemed like he was going to play with the brace again. And then it's like, all right, Brock Bowers is out. They're going to be in a trailing game script against this Colts team who's going to drop a shit ton of points. Clearly, this is the week that Jakobi Meyers gets spammed with minimum 8, 9, 10 targets, catches 6, 7, 8 balls. No. It's just not happening. It's a combination of this offense and Geno Smith and who Jakobi Meyers is as a player. I'm not falling for it again. I hear you, Brady. And I think we all have to come together and commiserate over getting fooled by Jakobi Meyers yesterday. Crutches says, terrible week. Dowdle gets Giga owned because of swaps, etc. Yeah, like I said, I guess it would have just been the early week people getting on him, because I didn't have a single running back swap. I started drafting on Thursday, and I didn't have any zeros there. So I think it probably could have been a lot worse if some of those scratches happened late week. But yeah, and the other combination there, Crutches too, right, is the fact that Michael Carter wasn't in the player pool on Underdog, had the swaps default to more Rachaad White and Rico, whereas I think Michael Carter probably would have been the preferred swap, the swap with the highest ADP, just because the Benson news would have broken before the Dowdle stuff. That ADP would have inched higher there. So that was another bummer. If you guys missed it, Michael Carter, for whatever reason, a provider issue with Underdog, was not in the player pool to draft. So that's always a bummer too, when a situation like that plays out. Josh says, I got rinsed in the Wildcat on Underdog, coming in tied for 8th in the Deposit Kingdom. Saved the day. Play smaller contests too. Amen. Kendrick says, thank you for always servicing the audio listeners. Yes, I will do my best to always service the audio listener crew. If you guys can't watch these live, I do post the audio on the In a Vacuum podcast feed. Audio for any shows on this channel, Often on the Clock, Battle Royale Bash, all of those shows, the Block Party, Bully the Sims, all that audio goes up on just slight delay. I would prefer if you guys watched on YouTube. That is more helpful for me, but I will always service the audio listeners. Let's see here. Definitely playing Jakobi next week. If you want a really funny soundbite, and I know this is the second week in a row I've referenced it, but Nate on the Gilcast, the show, the Cash Game review show with Davis, Sammy Reed, and Nate Noling. Every week Nate is just killing me. He was having a crisis of faith, an existential crisis about Jakobi Meyers, and had a quote along the lines of, And the scary thing is, I don't know when I'll be done. All of us are like, we're done. And Nate's like, I know I'm going to look at that Whopper. But that Whopper has to be coming down at some point. There's only so many weeks in a row you can get out-targeted by Trey Tucker and have your Whopper still hold. Figured you'd have the Lion stack for sure. Yeah, that seems like a good segue to look into my spy entry. This was one of them. A lot of times I'll say, the ideas and the things that we're talking about Friday on Block Party and Bully the Sims, by Sunday, maybe there's a new idea. There's a shiny new stack I want to play. I've gotten bored with the things we were talking about on Friday, but I had a lot of conviction in wanting to play this Jared Goff onslaught. It was something both Run the Sims was on. It was obviously something JM was on. And I didn't think the ownership was going to get too far out of hand here. And I guess a little bit of a mixed bag there on the ownership. Let's review this team. I did play this in the 400K spy here with 4,444 entries. I scored an abysmal 143.72 points. I had a Jared Goff to Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams. This was the exact onslaught we built with JM on Block Party. Goff comes in at 8.6% ownership. That's a tad higher than he was projected for. Amon-Ra, 24%. That was about at projected. Sam Laporta at 7.8%. Happy with that, in that there were a lot of strong tight end plays, and he comes in under 10%. Jamison Williams, a little steamy there at 16.2%. And that certainly sunk the lineup. You really needed one of those Lions running backs as part of the onslaught for it to get there. I rounded out this team with Barkley at 5.5%, Breece Hall at 39.3%. Yes, Jacoby fucking Myers at 16.9%, and Saints defense at 22.9%. So, when you pay up for Amon-Ra, Ladd McConkey at 11.7%. So, I think this is a bad lineup in retrospect. Not conceptually, but seeing the ownerships come in on the Lions stack like this, specifically Jamison Williams at 16.2%, Goff coming in at 8.6%. Didn't love that. Ladd McConkey got a little steamed. He comes in at 11.7%. Obviously not taking advantage of the Rico and Rachaad White value on this team. No Jonathan Taylor. Not a great team in hindsight here. I did do a little 3-max action in some other contests where I played a Daniel Jones onslaught with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren. That team fared a lot better. But yeah, this one bricks out. I mean, the chalk just way too strong yesterday, way too strong. And you can see how massive these scores were. We can look at Ringrim, who took down first place here with a Sam Darnold to JSN and AJ Barner. Holy shit. I did not think that anyone got to AJ Barner on DraftKings. I was wrong. Shout out to Mathology, by the way. Mathology came on After Dark on Saturday night and was touting AJ Barner to me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And yet that dude, way too sharp, all over it. Look at this team. Darnold, 3.3%, JSN 28.4%, AJ Barner 0.3%. This dude gets 60, 80, 85 points from that Seattle stack, forces no bring back, hits on David Montgomery, hashtag sister narrative, Rico Dowdle, Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Texans defense. Just a supremely nutted lineup here. 230.36 points. Incredible stuff there. I'll show you a couple of the other teams I played because I mentioned the Darnold stacks on the cram, and I did play a Darnold stack here, although it did not look like that one. These were, I basically wanted to play a few other stacks, so I did some other 3-max contests here. This was my Darnold stack. I did Darnold to JSN and Cup. Obviously, having Barner instead of Cup would have been better. This team had Rachaad White, HN, Garrett Wilson, Trey fucking McBride. McBride's close to Jacoby of being on my done list, guys. I mean, this Trey McBride shit. Every single tight end goes off yesterday except Trey McBride, which is just mwah, chef's kiss, Trey McBride. Omarion Hampton, who leaves the game early, that was a bummer. So yeah, I was happy to get on the Darnold stuff. That kind of 60-point stack there at that ownership is certainly attractive. And then the Rachaad White bring back. My best lineup yesterday on DraftKings was this Justin Fields team. I had Justin Fields to Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor. I did really like Mason Taylor as a play at 2,800 as part of stacks with Fields. He was really like the only unique part of the stack of that entire game, really, just with how much ownership that game was attracting. So I liked the Mason Taylor play. I bring it back with George Pickens. On this team, I hit the nutted running back combo, Jonathan Taylor, Rico Dowdle. I play one off JSN, and I play Achane here in Saints defense. So I feel like on a normal week, or I should say like a lower scoring week, a 208.22 score would be pretty nice. And here it's only good for 69th place. So I don't know. This was a pretty solid lineup here by my standards, but still not good enough to do any serious damage here. Yes, this was an all-time quote from Nate. Nate wondering how much money we would have saved if Kyler played baseball instead, had me howling. That is probably one of the things when, when we get mad at Jacoby Myers, we're mad at Jacoby Myers. I guess we're kind of mad at Geno too. When we get mad at Trey McBride, we're really just mad at Kyler for being too short to throw him the ball. Really incredible stuff there. Purple Yosh, our resident Lions expert, weighing in. One of the problems for the Lions stuff was they got so many turnovers. The fields were too short for a ton of yards before they were up 28-3. That's always the risk in some of those situations where the teams have the massive team totals like the Lions did, 30-point team total. And you're just like, yeah, it could be a random person scoring a touchdown, i.e. David Montgomery throwing a touchdown to Brock Wright. It can be a defensive score. Then all of a sudden they're not getting pushed. If we would have just had some of those Bengals scores in the first half of the game, Jamar Chase speeding the game up with that big touchdown. If we just have that in the first half, then we start to get the makings of a little bit of a shootout there, but it's just, it's garbage time and the Lions had already packed it up. All right, catching up on the chat here. League of Items. Thank you again, sir. 10 memberships. Very nice of you. By the way, League of Items, I have on my to-do list to respond to your DM. I did get your DM on Discord. Thank you for that. I will be getting back to you later today, I promise, but have not had a chance. But appreciate you sending in those memberships there. I don't know if this question is intentionally antagonistic or asked in good faith, but this is boy, is this a good question for today. M0929Z says, do you go through your pick'em results in these streams? I generally do a cursory glance of the pick'em stuff. If our core hits on off and on the clock, I'll take a look at it. If there was a fun win, I'll shout it out. But yes, I will roll for you, sir. For you, I will roll through my graveyard of boosted dead pick'ems from yesterday. I think I hit one. Out of way too many to count. I'll do that for you later, good sir. Mookie says Ferguson going 851 every week without CD, the real elite tight end. Yeah, he is now the top scoring tight end on the year through 5 weeks. I like looking at the fantasy finishes here on Fantasy Live. Just a good screener if you guys ever want to go check out some of this stuff. But yeah, Jake Ferguson here, 65.7 points on the year. Shout out Dalton Kincaid. Not too far behind, 56.7. But yeah, he has just been an animal, just a solid floor. And then we see the ceiling from him yesterday getting in the end zone. I didn't even see this. I had to, we record the Shipcast on Sunday afternoons, which I'm very happy that we chose to do the Shipcast on Sunday afternoons. Having multiple games has definitely been more enjoyable than the solo Thursday night sweat, but it does fall right during April's bedtime, especially if she doesn't take a nap and we have to push up her bedtime. So I took a little pause to go and say goodnight to April and read her a book. And I missed this play that Travioli's referencing. He says that Ward interception, Lockett fumble recovery was insane. Also doesn't count as a rush receiving TD for all the pick'ems. Yes, although I will say the other tilting part of that is I had Io Maynor in a ton of pick'ems. I thought that, his yardage with Calvin Ridley extremely limited heading into the game was a really nice spot to be on. And spoiler alert, it was not. It absolutely was not. Ridley looked fine. It sounded like Ridley might legitimately not play yesterday. And I'm like, all right, let's jam the rookie pass catcher who actually has a pulse. So that was a whiff there. Yeah, I did see this big drop as well. Let's see here. Let's look at the winning Millie Maker team. My guy Ben Weaver sent in a nice super chat on Sunday morning during the cram. And we can look at my Bryce Young teams here that he sent in. I believe none of them cashed, but thank you to Ben. I ended up making two teams in the Millie Maker here. This was the team that Ben funded for us that we built on stream. We knew we wanted to get a Bryce Young. Bryce Young at 4.2% to Tet. That did not hit. I mean, Tet McMillan, you want to talk about like expected points. Every single time I looked up, McMillan was getting a target, but it did not translate to points. Tommy Tremble, 1 reception for 7 yards. Nothing like going all in on the Panthers passing attack when Rico Dowdle rushes for 200 plus yards. Then the rest of this lineup, Taylor, Barkley, Nico, and Jacoby goddamn Myers. I even have to mix it up. I did Jacoby fucking Myers earlier. We're going to go Jacoby goddamn Myers on this one. Let's see here. LBM says Dowdle was the most obvious pick I've seen in a while if people watch the Dolphins try to defend the Jets run last week. So I think you're talking, more from like a ball knowing perspective, the most obvious pick. I mean, I'll talk about it through the lens of, battle royales and the 6-mans. I think it was an incredible scroll down option on Sunday. He projected well. His ownership was always going to be capped. It's going to be more rushing and TD heavy there. DraftKings, I think it was a little tougher in that there were really strong options. And I think Rachaad White had a much higher floor than Rico Dowdle with his pass catching. And there were really strong running back plays. Even in the cash game conversation for those guys, Jonathan Taylor, Achane, Rachaad White, tournament. I thought Barkley was a great tournament play, both of the Lions guys. So I don't think it was necessarily an obvious play to get smashed into all of your DraftKings lineups. But yeah, and I think, we talked about it with Yuta on Bully the Sims on Friday. There was a lot of input volatility there. Could Trevor Etienne have seen a bigger role in certain game scripts where Miami's ahead? Do they go away from him? Is he not able to get as much playing time because they're using him more as just a carrier and he's not involved in the passing game? I think those scenarios certainly play out a decent amount of the time. So I don't know if I'm going to go as far as you in saying was the most obvious pick. How much Rico Dowdle did you have, LBM? Because if Rico Dowdle was the most obvious pick in the world, you probably are a very rich individual today. This we can also all agree on. Big Dan says Bryce is god awful. Crutches tilting, such a tilting slate. So much Dowdle and good wide receivers and tight ends, but punted quarterback with JD, Kyler, Herbert mostly. Those were my 3 most drafted quarterbacks as well, I believe. Maybe not JD. Let me look. I actually think my 3 most drafted are very similar to that. And then you guys can all laugh at how much Trey McBride I had as well. Also, I need to pour coffee here. Let's see, Crutches. I think I'm close. Yep. All right. We're in lockstep, Crutches. Justin Herbert, 14.7%. Kyler Murray, 12.1%. Jaden Daniels, 12.1%. I obviously also thought those were the 3 best quarterback plays on the slate, but the results did not agree. All right. I need to pour some coffee and then we can talk some underdog here. Actually, sorry, I'm jumping all around. Before we move on, first, just real quickly, I want to look at the winning Millie Maker lineup because I'm actually in this contest so we can see it here. This team is one of the more chalkier teams you'll see. We've kind of talked about when we've looked at Millie Maker lineups that they're either like pretty logical and you could be like, oh yeah, I can envision myself making that. Or they're just like batshit crazy, 1 p.m. guy in the flex, et cetera, et cetera. But this one is like a pretty chalky lineup. Egbuka is the only player in this lineup less than 12% ownership. So Justin Fields and Breece Hall with no Garrett Wilson or Mason Taylor. So you just get those two guys who are both over 30% in the millie. You get Jonathan Taylor, obviously needed him. You get Rico Dowdle, obviously needed him. You play a JSN and a Emeka Egbuka mini. You pay up to be contrarian with Egbuka, 6,900. The projections didn't love that from a points per dollar perspective, but at 7.1%, he goes for 34. And then you play Jalen Waddle as a mini correlation opposite Rico Dowdle, one-off Jake Ferguson, a Jake Ferguson bring back to the Fields and Hall stuff, and then Saints defense, who is the chalk cheap defense. So just getting those right pieces to come together, wins by 2 points, $1 million, really logical, heavily correlated lineup, restores faith in DFS, salary cap DFS humanity, that you too could build a lineup that could ship $1 million. All right, coffee, underdog, let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I'll say, it's tough, right, guys? Like one of the things about projections, and we're talking about with Jacoby, we're talking about it with Kyler, the projections, they give it and they take it away, right? I mean, Rico's a really good example, and Rachaad White, of guys that projected extremely well. There's some stuff like, ETR and some other places had Tyler Warren projected higher than Trey McBride. As you can see in my exposures, I ended up IK being that a little bit, had more Trey McBride than Tyler Warren, 29 to 22%. But yeah, there's these spots where the good projections are all over it, and you want to lean into that. And then there's spots where they get it wrong, which is just kind of how it goes. But I think when you're having to model and project the entire field, it really is hard to get everything fucking right. And if you're able to cherry pick the spots you think they're right, and IKB the spots they think you're wrong, well, then you're probably the best DFS player on the planet. But in general, I think I want to continue to trust good projection sources and then layer on the game theory stuff on top of that, as far as where I want to go heavy exposures, where I want to get exploitative with my play, all of that good stuff. But it's I think it's tough to, in hindsight, kind of Monday morning quarterback and say like, oh, these part of the projections were good, but this part was bad, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, as David Kitchen once said, the game is beatable. Apparently not for me this year. I took another bath on Underdog yesterday. Pretty happy with my exposures. Obviously, the Trey McBride is a big whiff. Otherwise, Breece Hall, JSN, Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Achane. I was stoked with my Javonte Williams exposure. That was one that I was continuing to click, even when it didn't feel too comfy. Tried to get overweight Lad just with the heavy QJ ownership relative to Lad and Keenan. A decent amount of Amon-Ra, Nico, decent amount of Sam Laporta, kind of catching him at just a little less ownership than some of those other guys. And, on the running back front, I had 6.8% Rachaad, 4.7% Woody Marks, and only 3.7% Rico. I think that was definitely a leak, not having more Rico on Sunday morning specifically there. I was kind of mixing up my scrolls. You can see I have a little Chase Brown, a little Kenneth Walker, all of that stuff. But let's look at some specific teams here. Like I said, I did not return much yesterday. I had a team that was in second place at one point. It was a Rico and Jonathan Taylor team with a CJ Stroud double stack with Nico and Dalton Schultz. And of course, that team came crashing down. Let's first look here, though, at the team that took it down, first place for 50K here in the Big BR, Bro Rontosaurus Flex. I want to say I've seen this username before. Congratulations, bro. Baker Mayfield to Emeka Egbuka stack. You get Baker Mayfield at 17% ownership. He was not getting drafted a ton. Again, Mathology was all over the Baker play on After Dark. Jonathan Taylor and Javonte Williams. You can see here, you actually didn't need Rico to win yesterday because Javonte and these early wide receivers, did so well. And then Jake Ferguson, Jamar Chase, the other plays in this lineup. And, this is a lineup that's hard for me to get to, in that the Emeka Egbuka and Jamar Chase. Egbuka was a guy I was not overweight on. I thought he kind of fell in that fragile territory of wide receivers where it's like QJ and Egbuka, those guys are getting pushed up. And I didn't think they were significantly better plays than even their teammates, Chris Godwin, Keenan, Ladd. And so those were guys I made kind of a stand on of, I was going to be a little bit underweight Egbuka and QJ, not so much Chase. I thought Chase, just kind of his profile, getting a discount there wasn't as bad. But yeah, like the 100% drafted Egbuka was a tough click for me. And it shouldn't have been, apparently, because he went for 27.8 points. But you see this lineup here, Javonte and Baker, really the only sub 100% guys, and Baker, the only guy under 80% in this lineup. But just that unique stack, Baker to Egbuka, gets it home here. Javonte and Jake Ferguson, also kind of an interesting secondary correlation. I want to say this is the first time we've seen one of these hit this year. Maybe you guys can refresh my memory if I'm missing one. And when I mean hit, I mean being in the optimal or the first place lineup. We've tend to see some of these pop up over the years. Running back, wide receiver. There's been like Rachaad White, Mike Evans teams. There was a lot of those 2 years ago, Mostert and Tyreek Hill, Achane and Tyreek Hill type pairings. And sometimes when offenses are really condensed like that, you can get that secondary correlation in there. So similar to the winning DraftKings lineup, this is a team that's just a very logical, strong build, moving through this draft, tacking on Javonte as part of a Jake Ferguson team bet, and then getting a scroll at quarterback and getting a unique piece. And, Baker kind of similar to the Stafford play last week, right? Where it doesn't feel too good on the injury report throughout the week, not loving the spot on the road at Seattle against that tough defense. But man, Baker Mayfield just plays with his hair on fire. They seem to always find themselves in shootouts. And Emeka Egbuka, man, just a fucking baller, catches everything thrown his way. Hashtag nose for the end zone. Yeah, really, really strong stack there. So congratulations to bro. Shady Advice, who was famously in the underdog streets this week. Was it, Shady, have you discovered a love for Battle Royale drafts, or were you burning through underdog bonus credits before they expired? Let us know. Yeah, JT Warren. There was a JT Warren. Yeah, I don't know, but was Warren? Yeah, well, last week Warren was in the winning lineup, but was JT? I guess I could just look right here, right? Let's go see. Yeah, last week, see, you had Warren, but you needed Hampton and Genty. I'm not going to go through all of these right now, but I will take your guys' word for it if there was a JT Warren week. Let's see. I was devastated at that the DeBombs filled on Saturday night. I normally always draft my DeBombs. Those are the $100 5 max contests on Underdog. Really like that contest. Normally draft those Sunday morning, and I woke up Sunday and it was filled. I barely got my fullback dives in. Fullback dive was at like 90% at like 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. I was like, holy shit. Apparently it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I bricked out yesterday. Who knows what I would have had in that contest. But yeah, let's take a look at some of these other ones here. The original fullback dive here. Chief Keith taking it down here. This is the fun thing about looking at some of the side contests is we can start to see, slightly different builds. But this one is basically, I guess it's a 3v3 off of the winning team in the large field. They have JSN instead of Jamar Chase. They have Dak Prescott instead of Baker. They have Barkley instead of JT. But again, this is crazy. Like you can win first place fullback dive without Jonathan Taylor, without Rico Dowdle, even with 16 points from Barkley, just with this pairing here. And no real low owned pieces, just the Dak to Ferguson and Javonte stack, kind of the quarterback, running back, tight end, the JSN Egbuka mini, and a one-off Barkley, good enough to take it home. Congratulations to Chief Keef there. the response from Shady. A little column A, a little column B, testing an auto draft process. All right. Keep us posted, sir. All right, let's look at the Deposit Kingdom contest. You can tell I played this one really well. 3 lineups here, 100 points below the cash line, it would appear. 83 points. You needed 113.5 to cash. Shout out to Car Park, one of the best players on the site. Multi-sport athlete takes it down here with a Justin Fields solo stack, but then brings it back with the double bring back. So Javonte and Jake Ferguson. This is kind of like an old school salary cap move where you get the higher ceiling quarterback and then play the bring back. So you, instead of going with Dak, which would have worked out as well, but you do the double bring back with Javonte and Ferguson here. You get Jonathan Taylor, of course, the 101 on the slate, who drops 30 points. Pretty incredible that he wasn't on that fullback dive team we looked at. Jamar Chase drops 26. Waddle, another wide receiver you could have won with here in a smaller contest, 20 points, good enough to get the job done there. Let's see. FK Cooler says a lot of the winning lineups this week were things a lot of people say not to do. Double stack QB. I'm curious by that comment because who says not to double stack in the smaller field stuff? I mean, really the only anti-double stacking stuff is in the large BR, and I'm pretty sure the team here did not double stack to win. So yeah, I don't know who's saying not to double stack in side contests. I'm extremely pro double stacking in the side contests, in the smaller stuff. In the really small stuff, 500 or smaller, I love those quarterback, running back, tight end correlations. This is all stuff we talk about in the masterclass. You should be calibrating, essentially ratcheting up your correlation the smaller the contest gets. So the bigger it is, the large field battle royale with 60,000 plus, you're aiming for perfection, less correlation. The smaller that contest gets, you should be ratcheting up your correlation way more. What other contest should we look at here? Did any of you guys win contests here? I can take a peek at it. I did put a few entries in the Wildcat. We have Q Laid 88 took it down with a Dak, Javonte, Jake Ferguson, Jonathan Taylor, Egbuka, and Waddle. $10,000 there. Davis was sweating a team on the Shipcast yesterday. I thought he had a chance there for a bit, but ended up kind of sliding down once Egbuka and JSN went off. Oh no, I can't even find Davis on the leaderboard there. He was like, I think if Marv would have scored that touchdown, he would have been in first place there. But who knows if it would have held. T Cage, can I get a quick shout out for third in the Deposit Kingdom? Absolutely. Absolutely. Congratulations here. 142.38 points. Dak Prescott to Jake Ferguson and Javonte Williams. That was the pairing that really got it done yesterday. Javonte Williams and Jake Ferguson. This JSN Egbuka mini correlation was really strong there. Barkley, again, being able to win here without Jonathan Taylor, pretty impressive. Like, I think if you would have told me that Jonathan Taylor is the 101, dropped 30 points, I would have been like, yeah, you're gonna need Jonathan Taylor to podium any of these tournaments. But a lot of different ways to win yesterday, thanks to these receivers specifically. Don't worry, we're gonna get to the Dog Bowl for sure. Maybe we should do that now here, because I don't have anything else good to look at. Who won the Badge Bros Brawl? T-Word, Justin Fields, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte at 4%. This is a 3-person draft contest as opposed to 6. So these ownership percentages skew pretty wildly in the other direction. JSN, Jamar Chase, Jake Ferguson. Congratulations to T-Word. And be sure to tune in to the Badge Bros later today. I don't know who's coming on the winner's circle there. But always a good watch if you guys play a lot on Underdog. Let's look at the 12-person here, though, and shout out our Dog Bowl qualifiers. All 3 of these winners here have an awesome story tied to them. So Fantasygrinder ships the week 3 Battle Royale, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, for $50K. had that naked Jalen Hurts lineup that got it done, and then comes back 2 weeks later, finishes first in the Dog Bowl, 137.14. Darnold to JSN and Cooper Kupp, bring it back with Egbuka, swap your Chuba Hubbard to Rico Dowdle, and then play Sam Laporta at tight end. Incredible heater for Fantasygrinder there. Masterclass sub, and now just absolutely ripping on Underdog. 60,000 in the account, a ticket to the Dog Bowl. Congratulations, Grinder. Stay hot, brother. In second place, Chris G, who punched a ticket to the inaugural Dog Bowl. That was 2 years ago in Miami. Then had a brutal beat last year. Don't ever talk about Kyle Pitts to Chris G, because he will bring up missing out on a Dog Bowl seat because of Kyle Pitts. Then comes back this year and says, no, I'm going back to the Dog Bowl. He also has a Baker Mayfield, or not also, the other one was a Sam Darnold. He had a Baker Mayfield to JSN with the Egbuka bring back, and Rachaad White as part of that Tampa stack. You play the David Montgomery sister narrative there, and you get Jake Ferguson at tight end. Really strong, logical team here. 136.88 points. Chris G, one of the best dudes in the Deposit Kingdom, longtime OG, really, really good fantasy player. Stoked for G. He was also part of our Miami crew who helped organize our trip down there for ship chasing this summer. Excited to sync up with G, and we'll be rooting for him. And then in third place, Chad Candles. Chad, another member of the Deposit Kingdom, longtime OG. And I believe, Chad, was it the divisional round weekend last year you shipped the BR? You keep the good times rolling here. Holds on to this seat despite having Jakobi Meyers. There is one person out there this week who's not completely upset at Jakobi Meyers, and that is Chad Candles. I feel like Chad Candles should get 2 seats. The fact that you were able to punch a ticket to the Dog Bowl with Jakobi motherfucking Meyers in your lineup might be the most impressive thing I've seen since Chris Maison being to 120x Pick 'em Dog Bowl qualifier in the first quarter. I mean, incredible stuff. 5.2 points. The rest of the lineup, Dak Prescott to Jake Ferguson, there, Jalen Waddle and Rico Dowdle mini correlation, and then Jonathan Taylor there with the 30 points. Look at that alpha score from the running back. 61 combined points from Jonathan Taylor and Rico Dowdle there. Really nice team. And Chad had another team that was hanging out near the top for a bit as well. Looked like that maybe fell down, but he had a few sweats there. Dave, who was on After Dark a few weeks ago, multiple shots here in the top 15. Nez, of course, in 11th place. He just needed a Tony Pollard score there at the end to get him a ticket. Patrick Barnes YouTube, always up there. Tunia having a heater of a year in T7. And then, Use Uzen, tagged me on Twitter, was in the Discord lamenting this bad beat. We talk about it every week. Whoever bubbles the Dog Bowl, it's just the sickest feeling in the world. It's so binary between 4th place and getting a ticket. Misses out by 0.1 points. You're going to lose sleep when you miss out by 0.1 points because you just look back and say, what are all the other ways this could have gone better? What's crazy about this team, and I'm not being a dick, but I'm like, where's your 2nd round pick, Uzen? This is the team. Dak Prescott, Jonathan Taylor, Rico Dowdle, Wan'Dale Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, and Jake Ferguson. I mean, a wide receiver room of Wan'Dale Robinson and Rashid Shaheed is some dirty ass work. That is some dirty work. That is wild. Jonathan Taylor, obviously your 101 pick there. And then what was the 2-3 turn? Dak was pick 48. Dowdle at the 2-3 turn. So this must have been a draft later, Saturday afternoon, I'm guessing. And then, so you did you did Dowdle and Ferguson at the 2-3 turn, and then come back and get Dak and Shaheed. Is it Dak and Shaheed or Dak and Wan'Dale? Dak and Wan'Dale at the 4-5 turn, and then Shaheed at the end there. Apologies, Uzen. Very close. Very close. If Wan'Dale Robinson just gets you 0.11 more points, my heart goes out to you, bro. But yeah, congratulations to Grinder, G, and Chad Candles, who took down the Flea Flicker. Coppin Cheek 69. That's an elite username there. I see Dan, who punched a Dog Bowl ticket earlier in second place here. Wow, first place had a swap from Lamar to Darnold. Too good. Whoa, this line. Did you guys see this lineup? Sometimes you're just poking around on the site and you see something absolutely insane. Okay, I just want to talk this through. This team had Lamar Jackson on it and drafted Kenneth Walker, JSN Egbuka, then swaps to Darnold. So you swap to the quarterback that it would actually benefit the most from these players going off. And then you get the double tight end Jake Ferguson and Mason Taylor, a mini correlation. That might be the first time I've ever seen a tight end mini correlation win. Coppin Cheek 69, living up to their name. You know, I'm just perusing through these lineups. I'm like, yeah, good lineup. That checks out. Yeah, nice correlation. Nice scroll down. I mean, this might be the sickest lineup I've seen on Underdog this year. A Sam Darnold swap to the game you were already stacked with, and a tight end mini correlation from the same game. Unreal. Coppin Cheeks with the red badge. I would love to know the story behind this lineup. This feels like I was really drunk on Saturday night and clicking buttons kind of lineup. All right. I promised people my Pick 'em graveyard. You want to see my Pick 'em graveyard? Look at all these boosts. And just some near misses, some just absolute massive misses. Let's see here. The core. Let's see here. Egbuka Barner. Here's one. I think didn't we do this with Mathology on Saturday night? Barner and Egbuka each scoring a touchdown here. Pretty sure that was with that. The core stuff, Olave, Myers, Io Manor. I think this was the core from the cram on Sunday morning. We also built this one. This was the game stack. Fields, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, George Pickens. We had slid this one. This was a banger here. And George Pickens doesn't get to 100 yards, so this one fails. This was another one. This was the one we did on the Shipcast where we had Bill, JSN, Montgomery, and then Io Manor doesn't clear 36.5. This was one I think we did with Mathology. I built so many goddamn pick'ems. I can't even remember on what show or whatever, but I'm pretty sure this was a Mathology one. This one just narrowly missed. We did David Montgomery 2 touchdowns. Egbuka tutty, Laporta higher receiving yards, Breece Hall higher receiving yards, Pittman tutty. Here's how you go 0 for 5. Oh, was this my I think this was my Dog Bowl pick'em one. This was a heat check. Last week I was 1 pick away, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I was one touchdown away from hitting. Darius Slayton TD, Olave TD, Jacoby Myers TD. Imagine putting Jacoby Myers in your pick'em slip for a touchdown. That's just bad process. Jamison Williams, Josh Downs. Just look at these. I mean, these are just absolute whiffs everywhere. This was the one that hurt, man. This was the off and on the clock core. We were so close to hitting this one. Olave higher receptions, get to 6. Kamara lower fantasy points. Pollard, and I did round robin a couple of these, so apologies if this wasn't the exact core. But Nez had brought to us the Pollard Kamara lowers, which I thought were really sharp. And Pollard barely squeaks it out. The Pollard, Io Manor here. That sucked. Yeah. So here you go. Whoever asked to look at all of my brutal pick'em slips, there you go. I hope you're satisfied. Boost Tover, man. They got me. They got me real good. Let's see here. Trent Wirt gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, sir. I think I just looked at one of your lineups, T Wirt. I don't remember the contest it was in, but congratulations. Appreciate that. Trevor, I think didn't you ask a question? Trevor, are you the one who got married the other day? I think so. I can't keep track of all of these. But Trevor says, Pete, what's the best way to deal with losing weeks? I mull it over forever until I can get back in the street next week. I mean, I think I kind of hit on it at the top of the show, right? Where the real question is, do you think there are leaks in your process? Do you think there are things you can improve? For me, I've identified a few different things. Specifically, I'm doing too much multi-tabling when I'm trying to jam in my drafts. I'll do anywhere of 7 to 8 drafts at a time. It's just too much. I'm missing things. I'm making mistakes. I'm getting accidental quarterback running back correlations that I don't want in the big BR. I'm stumbling onto combos repeatedly that I'd rather have a few seconds to think through and sidestep and review. So that's like a personal leak in my process right now. That is something that I think is contributing to poor play and something I can fix. If you think you have a really streamlined process and you're playing well and you're reviewing your teams and you like what you're seeing, then you just have to take your lumps and know there's going to be lots of weeks you don't win. And I know like unrealistic expectations can be set. Like we'll get my guy David here, who's on a heater every single week, is winning. You'll see guys like Fantasygrinder who bink the BR and then win a dog bowl seat. I mean, I had last week, I had 5 or 6 weeks in a row. I had a stretch where I was just on fire. Second place finish in the BR, 2 top 10 places in the BR, a first place in DeBomb, a first place in victory formation. Like I was just on an absolute heater. And then it cooled off the rest of the year. I think like weeks 11 through 18, I didn't have any big hits. I was doing my same process. I was doing all of my same stuff. I just wasn't running as hot as I was, but I actually felt confident with my process because I had already seen the results. So like, I think Trevor, I've seen kind of from your comments, like this kind of like crisis of faith when you don't win. And like I said last week, these are very competitive streets right now. And you have to be able to accept there are going to be losing weeks. There's going to be lots of losing weeks. And to me, it's looking at the process things, the things I identified from this past week. Like I IKB'd the Trey McBride over Tyler Warren. I should have been flipped. I'm normally someone who trusts projections more in that range. I think that was bad process by me. I think it was bad process not having more Rico Dowdle. I think he emerged as a much better scroll on Saturday, Friday and Saturday, than a lot of those other options. And I was still mixing in, Woody Marks, and I was still mixing in some Tony Pollard and Kamara. And I think that was bad. I think I should have gone more exploitative with that, just from a game theory perspective, even separating the results. The same for Rachaad White to an extent too. So those are like specific process things I've identified that I want to fix. But certain things of being like, I didn't have Rico and Jonathan Taylor on enough lineups together. Like that's variance. Like that's something that you can't fully control for. So I would be careful about beating yourself up for any week you don't win, because that's just setting unrealistic expectations. Like if you are going to be in a bad mental space, or your bankroll is going to be in a bad place because you don't win every week, then you're playing too high a volume, or you're playing out over your skis, because that can't be the mentality that you come out of every week with. I'm going to pour some more coffee here, but I'm always happy to talk this stuff through, because I feel it too. I feel it too. Like, I walk off of yesterday. Like it was last week. I was traveling for week 4. And I was, doing my drafts from the hotel room. I was doing the crams from the hotel lobby. I was a little hungover from a dinner the night out before. I was not on top of my game. This week, I was like, all right, I'm getting dialed. I'm back in the swing of things. And then I still felt rushed on Saturday and Sunday night. I'm like, I need to get my sleep, but I want to get my side contests in. And then I wake up and I still have a lot of BR drafts. So like those are, leaks in my game that I'm trying to fix. But man, I still felt like shit last night. I'm like, man, can I get a W? I've taken a bath like 5 weeks in a row. I haven't had a profitable week on Underdog yet this year. And again, I think a lot of it is variance. And then there's a chunk of it that's bad play by me and leaks in my game that I need to shore up. So I'm not saying anyone is is wrong not to feel shitty when they don't win. I'm pretty sure that's a very human response that we all feel. But I think just being honest with yourselves about like the actual expectations, because my expectation isn't to win every week, but my expectation is to play well every week. And I don't think I've been playing well every week. So that's the part I can control. The part I can't control is how that oblong ball bounces. Yeah, the chat talking about Woody Marks. I agree. I agree that Woody Marks was good process. I think one of the things, the reason I think Rico really emerged is one of the, I think, best moves you can make in the Battle Royale contest is moving on the late breaking information as much as possible. And in the masterclass, one of my best weeks last year, when I had 2 teams finish in the top 10, it was a week where Jordan Love was projected to be out for most of the week, or he was questionable, but on the bad side of the Q tag, no one was drafting him. And then Saturday night, it's like Jordan Love is going to play. And Jordan Love was going to have basically 0 ownership. And because even if people started drafting him on Sunday morning, it was going to be capped. He was only going to be able to get to about 10% ownership. And maybe I can like pull this up in here if I can find it. But that was a spot I said, I want to exploit that, because this is like one of the glitches in the game and just one of the dynamics that happens where we get new information and 80% of the field was not getting there because they didn't have the information to get there. And I made that a priority on Sunday morning. I want to hammer this Jordan Love edge. Will it work out? Will he be the highest scoring quarterback on the slate every time? Absolutely not. But the times he is, you take advantage of it in such a massive way that it's really an edge worth pressing. I wanted to see if I could find this here just to show you this guy. So to piggyback and tie that back in to Rico Dowdle, the Rico news with Chuba, that didn't come out until, what was it? Was it Friday afternoon? We found that. So even though people had been drafting a little Rachaad White, a little bit of that, Rico's ownership was going to be capped even more than usual because people weren't drafting him midweek. So from that perspective, from like a stance where you really want to push an edge, that was one I wish I would have pressed harder. And to me, they separate and move into a territory of scroll that's a higher caliber scroll. So that's just kind of a note there. I'm trying to see if I can find these teams here because I thought it would be interesting to show that. I think this is the team here. All right. Yeah. So this is when I had a 5th and 7th place last week in week 4. And here you go. So, I'm bummed because we can't see the ownership. We don't have the ownership display for last year, but I did Jordan Love to Jaden Reed stacks. And this stack was just completely unowned that week. And so I had a couple different combos around it. A Jordan Love to Reed here, another Jordan Love to Reed. They both had Mason. One had Aaron Jones. One had Jonathan Taylor. One had Kelsey. One had Goddard, etc. But that was a situation where I felt I took advantage of the new information. And so, again, putting this back to the Rico, I wish I would have gone harder on Rico relative to what that information was and how much the field had it before. All right, let's see. What have we done? We have done DraftKings. We have done Battle Royale. Shall we look at some best ball stuff? Let's look at some best ball stuff. I have not looked at anything in this avenue, in this venue yet. So you guys will be seeing it with me. I should probably head to bbmdb.com to get a nice overview here. Shout out, as always, to Patrick Donovan over here for putting these together. So we do obviously still have a game tonight. I am currently advancing 30 of 150 of my teams, 20% average or 20% advancement rate. Certainly happy with that, being above expected there. No teams in the top 1,000. I do have this one team here. My highest scoring team on the week, 714.12 points. A Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Daniel Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Woody Marks, Brashard Smith. That is a sick running back room and quarterback room. Herbert, Stroud, Jones, Gibbs, Taylor, Breece Hall, Marks, Brashard Smith. Wide receivers are JSN, Sutton, Debo, Judy, Jaden Higgins, Keenan Allen, Isaac Tesla, Travis Kelce, Jake Ferguson, Jonnu Smith. Pretty good team. Let me see who I drafted this one with. So this team scored 714.12 points. Okay, here it is. Is this the group bash team? Guys, this is the group bash team. We collectively have drafted the best team in my portfolio. And I feel like that is the most fitting, serendipitous thing possible. A crowdsourced Deposit Kingdom telephone team. For people who don't know, doing the Battle Royale Bash or the Best Ball Bash this year, each week we'd have one guest come on, draft a team with me. The last week I was like, let's get 6 guests. Everybody comes on and makes 3 picks here. And at first I was like, I remember we started out with these 3 early running backs and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to get a little dicey here. Are we going to be able to pull it off? But together, our powers combined have drafted an absolute banger of a team. Herbert, Stroud, Jones, Gibbs, Taylor, Breece Hall, Woody Marks, Brashard Smith, JSN, Sutton, Debo, Judy, Higgins, Keenan, Tesla, Kelce, Ferguson, Jonnu. Love it. Love it. Good work to our crew here. There's my guy, Pat Moore, another bash team advancing here up to first place in this one. Couple teams with Mike Leone. I am going to guess when I click this team that it has Javonte Williams on it. Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Mason, Jerome. Oh, no, this one doesn't. Let's see if the second team has Jordan Mason. I feel like all my Jordan Mason exposure was with Leone. Barkley, Taylor, Hall, Brian Robinson. Okay, I lied. 2 of our first place teams here do not have it. The team I drafted with JM is advancing. I love Bryce Young, Stafford, Chase Brown, Kyron, Montgomery, Bill, Scatabo. Oh, it's got Puka. Gotta have Puka, Debo, Pittman, Tesla, KLS, Njoku, Likely, Gesicki. Team I drafted was Sacrilegious for the Deposit Kingdom videos advancing. Who was sometimes I have to remember these acronyms. Who is LR? Lord Reeves? Yeah, I think Lord Reeves. Lord Reeves and I always draft good teams. Hertz, May, CMC, Taylor, Warren, Algier, Keaton Mitchell. Nice to see Keaton Mitchell active, by the way. Tyreek Hill. Oof. All right. This team is going to be in trouble. Sutton, Pearsall, Diggs, Kirk, Kyle Williams, Tutu. All right. That team might be in trouble. Another Leone team. Karain team. Ron Stewart team. Deposit Kingdom video team with Ron Stewart. Caleb, Cam Ward, Darnold. Man, those Darnold stacks starting to look good. Achane, Breece Hall, Kamara, Spears, Ray Davis. Oh, yeah, that's nutted right there. Amon-Ra, JSN at the top. Olave, Downs, Egbuka, Burden, Tyler Lockett, Kyle Pitts, Chig, Juwan Johnson. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, that is the funnest thing about this portfolio is knowing all of these are on stream, all of them with different people. There's a Pat Karain team. Who's CL? Best Ball Breakfast CL. You guys, I'm going to have to go back and look at these. I put these acronyms as if I would remember them. There's Mathology. Even the team Mathology drafted with me is advancing. Lamar, Mahomes, Barkley. Ooh, Bucky, come back. Montgomery, Najee. Oof, Rico. Oh, Rico. Mathology snuck Rico on there. Oh, yeah. I bet you're right. LM has to be Liam. But no, I don't. Did I do? I thought I did. Yeah, did he come on? Did I do Deposit Kingdom or Best Ball Breakfast? I can't remember. Oh, CL Chess Liam. Yeah, good call. All right, let's see the Liam team. Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. Gibbs, Henry, Cook, Sanders. Okay, yeah, this is definitely Chess Liam if it's got James Cook on it. Gibbs, Henry, Cook. Zay, Jawan, Shakir, Higgins, Kupp, Burden, Leggett, Palmer, Yoshi. This wide receiver room needs some help. Njoku, Kincaid, Arroyo. Man. How many of you guys would just flip all of your late round tight end shares to AJ Barner right now? But yeah, can't complain with this so far. Solid advance rate, good overall bunch here. Let's see what the first place team looks like right now. Kunyu 88, Stafford, Goff, Fields, Jarquez, Hunter, Javonte Williams, Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason, James Cook. So kind of like a modified 0 RB team. James Cook anchor in what, the 4th, and then 0 RB-ish here. I mean, if you would have told me the first place team that this is the running back room of the first place team, I would not have believed you. Jarquez, Hunter, Javonte Williams, Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason, James Cook. They had to have smashed these. Darnell Mooney, Egbuka, Zay, JSN, Puka, Amon-Ra. 0 RB alive and well in the regular season streets. JSN, you go Puka, Amon-Ra, JSN falls to you mid-3rd. You grab Zay Flowers in the 4th. I'm assuming Egbuka in the 6th. You go late round tight end, Higbee, Taylor, Henry. I am stunned that this is the first place team. Like no hammer plays at tight end. Quarterbacks are like solid. Running backs, I guess Javonte. Javonte is really what ties it together. Javonte and Cook is a pretty insane. But I'm telling you, like I could have looked at 100 rosters and I don't think I would have picked this one out as the top overall. I would have looked at the wide receivers and been like, yeah, this is a good team. I would have been looking at Jonathan Taylor teams. I think, although I guess if you have Jonathan Taylor, because there could have been Puka Jonathan Taylor teams, right? I think that's what I would have probably gravitated to. A team starts Puka and grabs Jonathan Taylor in the early 2nd. I would have assumed those would have been the dominant builds. Peanut Punch is sitting in 2nd. There you are. P-Punch. Let's see your team. Stroud, Herbert, May. Hampton, Jacobs, Taylor, Bijan. This is more what I thought a first place team would look like. Hyper fragile build right there. You go Bijan, JT, Jacobs, Hampton. Let's see what wide receivers. You hit on QJ. Yeah, QJ makes sense as like a must-needed piece as part of hyper fragile builds. Shaheed, Egbuka, Diggs, Debo, Sutton. Yeah, that's really strong. Juwan Johnson, Schultz, Henry. Nice team, P-Punch. 50K. P-Punch, how many times have you said in your head, stop the count. Stop the count. End the season now. Send me my 50K, underdog. Do we know anyone else in the top 10? I don't recognize any of these names. Slappy White. Let's check some Eliminator. I realized last week I forgot to look at my big Elims. We'll head over to BBMDB to see the sweats. My big Elims have been dropping like flies. I'm down to 4, and I have 2 advancing here. So this is round 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got to finish, or 6 of 8 advance. Man, I'm struggling. This team's in 8th place here. That's not happening, right? Do I have anybody going tonight? Jordan Love on bye. Bucky hurt. Chuba hurt. Warren on bye. Sanders hurt. Dead. Tyreek Hill, dead. Is there any sweat here? Brock Purdy hurt. Lawrence playing tonight. Would need him to outscore Tua. Barkley, Jacobs on bye. Aaron Jones hurt. Austin Eckler hurt. Kendra Miller, nothing. Worthy plays tonight. Metcalf on bye. Judy does dog shit. Wandale Robinson, Tesla. Wicks on bye. Man, Trey McBride. God, this team sucks. I guess I have one team in first place. It's a Stroud, Young, Tua team. Barkley, Jacobs, Montgomery, Tank Bigsby, Keaton Mitchell, Brashard Smith. That has some legs. Barkley, Jacobs, Montgomery. Tet, Ridley, Debo, Shakir, Kirk, Leggett, Hopkins, Trey McBride, Dallas Goedert. First place in this pod with Trey McBride not scoring. The other big elim I have advancing, Herbert, Bryce Young, Stafford, Gibbs, Jones, Ramondre, Tank, Monungai, Mostert. I think I looked at these running backs 2 weeks ago and I just couldn't believe this team. Tank, Monungai, and Mostert. Ladd, Tet, Pickens, Jennings, Addison, nice to get him back. Did you guys hear the Addison story? Was that corroborated that he went rogue from the team to go sightseeing in London? It was one of those tweets I saw that I couldn't tell if it was a joke or if it was real or not. But that's absolutely incredible. If he's like, fuck this, I'm going to see Big Ben on my own. They're like, curfew at 9. He's like, man, I was out at Stonehenge until sunset. Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid on these big limbs here. I'm going to trust Minnesota Mike here. It's true. Let's see my overall limbs, though. All right. I believe this is my first week that I'm below average advancing. I think I've been like at even or slightly above. I mean, when you get down to this much, it's all on the bubble. I have 13 teams left, 6 advancing right now. Although my quant PD gives me an expected 6.2. So he sees a little chance for me to get one of these through. Or am I facing any of you guys here? DM Hollick, Inkles, B Shribes, Randall Rant, Cheese Skull, Abstract, King Cause, Big B, Burke, Troy Leon Wins, Brad, Jonas Culliver, Rohai. Let's see here. Do I have any, like, I love the projected chances. It seems like most of my stuff is pretty much decided. My wins seem pretty locked up. My losses seems pretty locked up. Guys, the Tet stuff, like, we've moved long past this. This was an off-season conversation. We've moved on. I've paid my swear jar. We call him whatever we want now. Yeah, I can't believe we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Going to have only 6 teams. What's our guy FF Dan? Is he still the leader? He's advancing 29 teams. Oh man, this is how quickly this contest humbles you, because Dan had a grip load of teams here. 29 and then down to 11 this week. So I mean, like, everybody in this contest is going to be down to single digit teams. Most likely after this week. And then the sweats are going to start getting really good. The prize money is going to start to get good. That was a nice little stimmy to hit the account this past week, getting all of those. Go Lancers is the top dog. Yeah, he had a ton, right? 29.60. Wow, that's a really good advance rate. What are his exposures to advance 72% this week? J.K. Dobbins, Montgomery, QJ, Hunter Henry, James Cook, A.J. Brown. Wow. To be advancing 4 A.J. Brown teams. Of course, Puka. Very nice. Yeah, Dobbins has been like a rock solid eliminator pick. Yosh has 8 or 9. I think, yeah, anything in that 9, 8, 9, 10, 11 range seems awesome. All right. Anything else you guys want to look at here? How's our guy Mathology doing? I mean, Mathology just continues to stay goated. 36 of 150. So he's come down a little bit. I think he was at 40%, but does have a top 38 team here. Josh Allen, Dak, McCarthy, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, David Montgomery, Jalen Wright, Jarquez Hunter, Keaton Mitchell. It is just hilarious looking at teams and just realizing how much we get wrong, how many landmines there are on our teams, even our good teams. Even a team that's in 38th place has to look at Jalen Wright, Jarquez Hunter, Adam Thielen. Incredible. Is A.J. Brown going to be okay, or are we hoping for a trade? I feel like there's 3 levels to this. Is A.J. Brown going to be okay? Based on him personally in his post-game press conferences, he is not going to be okay. I feel like every week he crashes out slightly more than the week before. And no, from a fantasy perspective, I do not think he's going to be okay at all. I think he'll have a couple spike week games. But he's kind of like in that lad territory where the volatility is ratcheted up and the ceiling is lower than I think what we all expected we were buying into. Or we hoping for a trade. You can hope for a trade, but they're not trading him in season. They've already talked about that. They're planning to win the Super Bowl. They have a good record. They're not doing anything rash. I would probably be holding some team meetings with Jalen Hurts and the pass catchers. I would maybe be dialing up a few more plays for AJ Brown around the red zone. Just like get this guy a fucking touchdown so he chills out. Like at some point you got to kind of play the meta aspect of it here. And like we can all sit here and be like, man, you got to be more like Barkley. You got to be more like these other guys who are like, hey, I'm winning. And that's all that matters. But that's just like not who AJ Brown is. The dude has a pinned tweet that says the enemy speaks softly or walks quietly and carries a knife, whatever it is. It's the Denny Carter quote here. The enemy speaks kindly and holds a knife. I think you got to pacify this man somehow because he is a baller. And I don't think he's going to mature. I don't think he's going to all of a sudden start caring about winning more than his own personal stats. So I don't know. Figure it out, Eagles. Figure it out. Look who it is. The hottest man on the Dawg app himself. Best Ball Alec, gifted 20 memberships. Thank you, dude. Very kind. Love seeing all of your success. Keep crushing. If you're just tuning in now, we reviewed your lineup earlier. Loved the stack. This is actually something we should check on here, and then we'll head to Guillotine in a second. I think my one like decent thing that happened to me in fantasy yesterday was on Splash Sports. I lost 2 of my Survivor contests, like so many people on the Cardinals. I did have one where I had already used the Cardinals and I played Indy yesterday instead. So that's my one team in the Establish the Run free contest. That's what I'm live for. But my big win was in the tiers. Let me see here. Where was the tiers? Why can't I find it? Here it is. Okay, week 5 tiers. I dropped down a little bit, and I guess that there's still action going tonight. I did have a top 10 team, but I must have gotten passed by, who would it have been? Allen didn't really have a good game, did he? Man, I'm T21. So my one thing that I thought was good, I was top 10, is now T21. Do I have anyone going tonight? It was a Fields, Taylor, Goff, Kyler, Darnold, Garrett Wilson, Nico, Stroud. I did also survive barely with the touchdown survivor. So I bought into the narrative like everybody else. David Montgomery, he ended up being 30% owned, which is way too much for his odds relative to some of the other guys. So we're down to 60 touchdown survivors in the Swolecast Entry League. Yeah, I know tiers doesn't intel tonight. I don't think there's going to be too many popular selections. I mean, Mahomes was one of them. I don't think a lot of people are going to play Lawrence. I don't think a lot of people are going to play Worthy with him banged up. Maybe a little Brian Thomas Jr., but that seems kind of crazy. So I'm guessing the standings are pretty finalized. Let's take a look at some Guillotine stuff. I believe I survived all of my Guillotine leagues. Actually worked. How does tiers work? Just like it sounds. So what you do is they bucket these players into 8 tiers. And so in the first 7 tiers, there's like 5 or 6 options, and you pick whichever one you want. It's just who's going to score the most points. And then tier 8 has basically the entire player pool. So it's kind of like DFS in that there's a game theory element to it, in that, yes, you're trying to get the most points, but you also don't want to land on the highest ownership stuff. So like, for instance, on this team, I took Fields instead of Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen was going to be the most popular tier 1 quarterback. So you can kind of build rosters like that, thinking through ownership and projection. But a fun contest And we've been getting overlay. You can see here 695 out of 889. We've been doing this contest every week. It launches on the Swolecast. $3,000 to first. And the other nice thing about this is they've been guaranteeing the entire prize pool. So this overlay has been making the contest relatively sharp. So yeah, join us in the tiers contest. All right, let's look at a few of my Guillotine League teams. I'm in 5 of these bad boys. My ship chasing team continues to be my strongest team this week. And one of the reasons it's my strongest team is because I got Javonte really cheap in the draft. I scooped up value on James Cook. I have Garrett Wilson and Jalen Waddle. So getting those kind of alpha now target shares from those guys. My big waiver wire move this week is I picked up Mason Taylor for cheap and started him. Chris Olave. I was in a pinch at flex because I didn't have Bijan or Metcalf going this week. So I spot started Isaiah Bond, 4.9 points there, even 4.9 points from James Cook. But the rest of my team just has a really nice floor. You know, Waddle and Garrett Wilson combining for over 40 and Javonte going for 27 is just a huge win there. So I am I'm hanging strong here. And there it is, Steph at the top, the waiver queen, scoring well this week. And who is looking close to the chop line here? It looks like our guy Paul. Our guy Paul here is going to be battling on the chop line. Let's see here. Yeah, Paul right here, 67.42 and no PMR. So he is getting chopped. He is getting chopped. Tyler keeps forgetting about it. Can't forget. I got my notifications each week. We're grinding. That Mason Taylor was a Sunday swap. I refuse to get chopped in these leagues. Not going to let it happen. In the Deposit Kingdom Chop League, let's see here. Who's Jacardi? Who is Jacardi? I can't keep track of all your usernames, but Jacardi here is in rough shape. My team here, I had let's see. This isn't my team. Where's my team? Here we go. Yeah, I have Herbert. This team's pretty solid as well. Herbert, Barkley, Breece Hall. I did pick up AJ Brown off waivers. I got him for pretty cheap. I needed to upgrade some of my spots because I'm dealing with injuries here. And yeah, like Travis Hunter, haven't been comfortable starting him. This team is the starting lineup's fine, but I'm having to do some work. Trevion Henderson in the starting lineup doesn't feel good. I spot started Dalton Schultz because I'm trying to figure out tight end here. Debo has been a huge bedrock for this team, giving me kind of a high floor ceiling. There, Herbert, Barkley, Hall, Debo have been enough to keep me in the mix, but this is a team I'm going to need to continue to work the waiver wire. I think I really need another difference maker on this team. Let's see which players are going to end up in the player pool this week, assuming that Jacardi goes down. So, man, yeah, not a ton there. Bijan. Okay, Bijan will be the big prize on waivers this week. Drake May, pretty solid quarterback floor option there. Look at Harold Fannin just getting passed around. I think Harold Fannin has now been on the waivers. This will be the 3rd time Harold Fannin's on waivers. My 2 other ones here, I don't think the teams are quite as strong, but hanging around. This team, this is the Fantasy Life one. I'm just middle of the pack here. This one I did the double Colts start here, Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. Tony Pollard, like this is such a guillotine-ass starting lineup. Like all of these guys kind of hitting their median. I do Keon Coleman, 10 points. Franklin, 8.5. Goddard, 10.9. Christian Kirk, 10.4. Olave, 12.9. Pollard, 14.8. Taylor goes nuclear, 31.6. Daniel Jones, 16.7. This one hurts because I have Bucky injured. I did pick up Sean Tucker in case something emerges there, but this is another one. I'm going to need to work the waiver wire and get an impact player here who's going to be hitting the waivers. Okay, CMC hitting waivers, most likely. Tet would be a strong addition. Tyler Warren would be a strong addition. Josh Jacobs, man, this is a good team to be going home. And then my last one with guys like late round QB and Tom Everett Scott and that crew. I am, Tom Everett Scott getting the axe. Tough week for Mr. Hollywood here. Drake May had to start shot. He was working though. He was grinding if he was playing Sean Tucker and Xavier Scott. He'd been sitting on Rashee Rice. Josh Jacobs on bye and Bucky hurt. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for you. Let's see my team here. I did some waiver wire maneuvering this week. Picked up Stroud on waivers. That was huge, 28.8. I do have Gibbs, Hall, Waddle, Keenan. Keenan I picked up on waivers this week. Still have Brenton Strange to go tonight. Have been leaning on Christian Kirk. Zay Flowers, still getting some targets. And finally put Trevion Henderson on the bench. Just going to have to sit on that. Him and Travis Hunter. You think you're buying the dip in Guillotine. But we're going to have to keep waiting. I also bought Mike Evans on waivers too, just for cheap, being like, I want to get some of these guys who, when they are healthy and back, are just easy plug and play starts. And if my starting lineup's strong enough, I can kind of sit on those guys. All right. That's good for Guillotine League. Imwald transitioning us to a little PTP, some Monday Night Football. Let's do our usual. We'll do a primetime Palooza draft and then build a pick 'em. And this is what I'm doing. Guys, we're building one pick 'em. All of our focus, all of our energy is going to winning one pick 'em. I got to get off the schneid. I need it. All right, let's find our Monday Night Football Palooza or primetime Palooza. The slate this week, so we have Jags and Chiefs tonight, and then Thursday, Philly and Giants. So Barkley revenge game. Let's quickly check this out. So quarterbacks are Hurts, Mahomes, Lawrence, and Dart. That's actually a pretty good quarterback slate. Tight end, Kelsey Goddard, Theo Strange. That's fine. Tight end, super flat. Just be the last one to take your tight end. Running back, Barkley, Scatabo, ETN, Hunt, Pacheco. So pretty big tier gap there after those top three. Wide receiver, the Eagles guys, Brown, Devontae, Brian Thomas, Worthy. So wide receiver is pretty gross. Yeah, 101 is a pretty big edge in this PTP slate because Barkley just separates so much. Oh, yeah. I mean, Barkley, like everything for Barkley. I mean, they're going to give the ball to him 20 plus times here. This might just be 101 in PTP or log out. Oh. Garage says ETN has been better than Barkley, but in this slate, I'd agree. Should go ahead. Yeah. I do think he's a strong pick here. I mean, if you guys like, Barkley isn't going to separate if he gets single-digit touches again. If you think Barkley's getting single-digit touches in New York against his old team, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's the same people I said. If you don't think David Montgomery scored a touchdown tomorrow or yesterday, all right, what am I going to do here? We'll get a running back. We got to get Scatabo. Man, the AJ Brown stuff. I will just play this narrative. I'll just say they're going to figure it out. They're going to get this man some touches. Otherwise, he's going to blow a gasket. Well, Swish, I just took him ahead. Swish says, I find it funny that AJB is going ahead of Worthy. I will say, like, Worthy popping up on the injury report because his ankle's swollen. It just, like, adds extra risk to it. In this game, I don't think it matters, but I do think it's like, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. Minnesota Mike, we said that's what we're doing after this. After this draft, we're building a shipper. He says, can we get a Monday Night Picks winner on the show? I need it. Let's all put our collective powers together and get this winner. We need it. All right, which quarterback do we want to play? I think we go Dart for sure. I don't really want to pass on Dart just because I think his ceiling is just significantly higher here. I think the Dart to Theo stuff is fun. Maybe just onslaught this Giants game, and then we'll figure out. There's nothing else to do here at wide receiver. I don't really want to mess with the KC split. Let's go all Giants here. So we go Dart, Scatabo, Brown, Theo. All right, yeah, start getting the ideas in here before I make my last pick. The Goose says ETN over rushing yards. I like that. Rohan likes playing the Brechaad breakout. I like that. Thornton TD, he continues to play hot. I like that, especially if Worthy's a little banged up. Yeah, I agree with you, Swish. I agree with you. Brechaad Smith receptions, Pacheco and Hunt over rushing yards. We should pull up, I want to pull up some utilization too as we dig in here. Like I said, we can't just be blasting off. I personally lost my my permission, my right to blast off. That privilege. I've lost the privilege of blasting off. I have to start researching. Let's look at the I want to look at the Chiefs running backs from last week. Snaps 37, 44, 26. Rush attempts, Kareem Hunt doubled up Pacheco and rush attempts. It is really clear that they just don't trust Pacheco right now. They all ran, I mean, Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, 36, 38% of the routes. But then Brechaad Smith had the way better targets per route run. Let's see. Should we get one piece here from the Chiefs? I liked whoever said the Tyquan Thornton call. Let's do Tyquan Thornton here. And should we play it? Let's scroll the F down. We'll do Brechaad Smith here. We'll play Brechaad Smith and Tyquan Thornton. So here's the PTP thing. Jackson, Dart, Cam Scatabo, Brechaad Smith, AJ Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Theo Johnson. All right. Put in the boost. Actually, we have the 50% boost for tonight. Okay. This is it. $50 max, 50% boost. Let's all lock in. Let's lock the fuck in, guys. We all need a winner. Where's my guy, Minnesota Mike? Where's my guy, Minnesota Mike, in the chat? What he said? I need a winner bad. This takes me back. So one of the years, my buddies and I, you guys have heard me talk about it. We do that divisional round trip. It was probably 7-8 years ago. We were in Vegas watching at the Westgate. And I don't even remember the game. I think the Falcons were in the game. And there's this dude running around the sports book, and he was just screaming, I need the over. I need the over. And anytime I hear the word need associated with a pick or a sweat, I just think about that guy. I think I might even have it on a video clip because he kept doing it so many times. And spoiler alert, he did hit the over. All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to build an idea box. We're going to put, okay, we don't even have Brechaad Smith receptions yet. They're not giving it to us. All right. Don't like that. Let's also, you guys keep the ideas going. Let's see if the Run the Sims tool has anything cooking. Travis Etienne receiving TDs. Pacheco under receiving TDs. That's kind of a sick one. Are they letting you do Pacheco doesn't score a receiving TD? Where is that? I don't even see that anymore. I just see the yes on receiving TDs. What do they like? Kareem Hunt under receiving TDs. Worthy over fantasy points. I guess the Worthy thing is kind of binary, right? Like, I mean, if he plays and he leaves, we can say, rescue us. Rescue us. Travis Kelce under receiving yards. Xavier Worthy over receptions. The Run the Sim stuff does not like the Kelce stuff. All right, sorry. Let me go back through the idea box. Mahomes rushing as always. Yeah, what's he at? 21.5 rushing yards. He's been scrambling. I guess the first 2 games, and then, man, he did not scramble at all the past 2 weeks. I don't know. 2 yards, 5 yards? I don't know. Strange over receptions. Let's also do this. Let me look at a little, I want to look at a little DVP here. I always like, now that we have like a little bit of a sample size, we can check on Fantasy Life here. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Let's look at fantasy boost to quarterbacks. Jags are middle of the road. Wow, Chiefs. Chiefs are the toughest team against opposing quarterbacks. Negative 9.8 boost. The Chiefs. Not a great spot for Lawrence. Let's see the fantasy boost for rushing. Chiefs, middle of the road. Jags. Jags are actually kind of stingy against the run. Jags give up the 3rd least amount of fantasy points to opposing running backs. So that kind of tilts me to some of the Pacheco lowers, especially if they're starting to phase in Brashard Smith a little more, phase out Pacheco. Wide receiver, let's check some boost. Jags and Chiefs. Man, Chiefs are just nails against wide receivers and quarterbacks, so that doesn't feel good. Let's see about tight end. Is there any leaks in the tight end? Man, Jags bottom. Jags kind of stingy. Chiefs really stingy. Man, I don't know. What do we even like on the Jags side? I guess it's running, right? If it's so hard to throw on them, and then the Chiefs are more middle of the road against the I mean, it's not like a full-on run funnel situation, but the Chiefs much better against the pass than they are the run. I don't know if I like the passing game stuff here. I wish they're not giving us Brashard Smith stuff right now. Are you guys seeing Brashard Smith stuff? I'm only just seeing the touchdowns. ETN receiving, I like that angle. Attempts, rush yards. Yeah, let's look at ETN. Relax. Let's see. ETN's receptions. He hasn't been involved in the passing game a ton. I mean, LaQuint Allen is just such a thorn in the side for him there. I know, man. The more I look at this game, the least excited I get about it. What is the spread in this game? -3.5. -3.5. And then that over under, yeah, 45.5. I do like stuff with ETN. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to play it. Let's look at the how much LeQuint Allen is actually siphoning off here. I really wish they'd give us the Brashard Smith because that is the funnest angle to play. Let's go back to the Pacheco because I do kind of like the Pacheco. 8.5 rush attempts. He had 7 last week. Did not look good. I also want to just see. All right, I'm bouncing all over the place here. Let me do Jags first, and then I want to look at something. Let's look the past like 2 weeks for the Jags here. So LeQuint Allen running a similar amount of routes as ETN, similar amount targets per route run, and Tootin's in there too. I do think that makes the receiving stuff tough for ETN. And then I wanted to look at the trend line for Pacheco right now. See, guys, we're getting in the lab. We're not fucking around. We need a winner. This is where we're at this point. Fuck it. All right, let's see this Pacheco trend line. So snaps, week 1, 48%. He goes up to 60% week 2, drops all the way down to 58%. Not all the way down, goes down 2% to 58%, and then all the way down to 30%, his lowest snap share of the season. Rush attempts, craters there. I think we got to take a lower on him. $29.5 rush yards, 6.5. What do we like? Do we just take the lower on rush attempts? I think we take the lower on Pacheco rush attempts. I wish I saved my. I feel like I'm half locked in and just half terrified to build a bad pickup. I'm just like willing this Rachaad Smith stuff. Underdog, if you're watching, can you please give us some Rachaad Smith stuff? All right, I do like, so we got some T-Law rushing stuff. T-Law, so 9.5. Let's check out some of the T-Law. Are they doing any designed runs for him? So his scramble percentage has been relatively low. Designed rush attempts popped last week, right? It was like 0.40, the 11%. That's not nothing. I'll tell you guys on this. Just Chiefs getting to pressure. He had 7 and 9. So I'm so disappointed because I feel like we're all on board with the Rachaad Smith stuff, but we just don't have it right now in the lobby. Vegas doesn't want you to play the Rachaad breakout. Yeah, no, I'm with you guys on the Lawrence thing. So we have Pacheco, lower 8.5 rush attempts. Lawrence higher. What's our last one? Nez has a 3-legger. I like BTJ under. Let's look at Thomas. Man, Brian Thomas. Man, it has just been a disaster, hasn't it? 5, 2, and 4. What did Nez have the lower on, JJFC? Was it under fantasy points, receiving yards? Yeah, I'm a little queasy looking at that line too. This is how I'd really play scared. Just play him no touchdown. We already got our T-Law in here. We already got our T-Law. Let's see what else there is here. People talked about Tyquan Thornton. Let's look at that one more time here, because I think Thornton could be, even with Worthy coming back, he still had a decent role. Or maybe I'm not. I guess I'm lying. His routes actually dropped a good bit. I lied. He didn't have a decent role. He just scored, right? I got fooled by the box score. Thornton TD feels like a good way to blow up a pick'em. 2.09. If Kelsey doesn't score a touchdown in the game after Taylor releases a song about his dick. Dude, Taylor is getting absolutely slammed on TikTok. The TikTok influencers are not happy with Taylor these days. All right, let's look at the wide receiver stuff here real quick. The problem is it's going to all be Worthy, because Worthy dominated last week. Let's just look at last week with Worthy back. Juju, Hollywood. So Hollywood had they had similar amount of targets. Hollywood a little higher targets per route run. Yeah, Tyquan went to 0. Worthy, the big utilization winner. Juju slightly more. 83% of the routes for Juju. That super low ADOT. What is the Juju? What's the Juju line here? 2.5 receptions. This guy's been at 4 back-to-back weeks. I think this is what we do, guys. We have the 50% boost. I am absolutely playing scared. I am not going to try to dodge those allegations. I want to build the saddest, lamest pick'em entry of all time to get back. You guys have great ideas in here. Don't get me wrong. But this is how we get back in the winner's circle. Isaiah Pacheco, lower than 8.5 rush attempts. Trevor Lawrence, higher than 10.5 rushing yards. Juju Smith-Schuster catches 3 balls. This guy was put on the earth to catch 3 balls. No more, no less. 50% profit boost gets this up to a 6.41x. I'm going to place this entry. I'm going to go to bed 8 minutes into the game tonight, and I'm going to wake up with a notification from Underdog that says, cha-ching, cha-ching, you turned $50 into $320.50. I'm not doing any sliding. I did enough sliding yesterday for a lifetime. I'm playing scared. I'm trying to book a win. Need I remind the people, if you're just tuning in now, this graveyard of pick'ems from yesterday. Unlimited profit boost. Unlimited profit boost. Do it, Peter. It's Boostober. One more profit boost. Surely you won't lose all of these. Surely you won't go 0 for 5 on your dog bowl pick'ems. Surely you won't have one David Montgomery passing touchdown that will ruin a gorgeous 5-leg pick'em slip you built with Mathology. Do it. Do it. Surely you won't be one Iomainer pick away from hitting a shipcast. Pick 'em. It's Boostober, Peter. It's Boostober. Keep boosting. You can't not win. You can't win if you stop boosting. Boost, Peter. You need to boost. See this? You hit that Egbuka and AJ Barner. You should keep boosting. Boost, 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 boost. All right. Let's do 1 week 6 draft and then I'm out of here. First look, week 6, first look. We got the playbook up. 6-person drafts. Let's see how gross this slate's looking. All right. Trey goddamn McBride. Okay, this just immediately needs to change. Tyler Warren and Trey McBride. I mean, Tyler Warren absolutely needs to be ahead of Terry McBride in ADP. Absolutely. Flip that shit. We got Puka and CMC back on the slate. Jonathan Taylor. Okay, running back is pretty nice. CMC, JT, Achane, Jacobs up top. Wide receiver, we get Puka and JSN. Egbuka up to a 9.5. I know I'm going to have like 4% Egbuka this week, and he's going to fucking bury me. Stephon Diggs, 25.5. He does not get to play his former team every week. Jalen Waddle at 29.1 feels like a misprice. Lamar, Q tag. I mean, what's the good price for Lamar? Obviously, you can swap. I feel like, third round Lamar is probably fine. Second round Lamar, I don't know how much you're gaining. They have the bye week 7 too, so I don't think Lamar plays. But if you can get third or fourth round Lamar, why not? This first round is actually strong. This might be one of the stronger first rounds. CMC, JT, Puka, Achane, JSN, Jacobs. We were looking at the 4 p.m. slate yesterday on the Shipcast. Titans, Raiders, Niners, Bucks, Bengals, and Packers. That's some disgusting shit right there. I need JSN. I need JSN. Thank you. Who do I take at 2-8? This is an evergreen comment. But here's the thing. Chad says tight end goes off an absolute cliff this week. It's like a fake cliff, though. It's like you're running. It's like, oh, there's Trey McBride and Tyler Warren and then Tucker Kraft. And I'm going to look over the edge. And then it's just this steady ass slope. And it's like, hi, Darren Waller. Hi, Jake Ferguson. Hi, David Njoku. Hi, Tyler Higbee, who will randomly score 2 touchdowns. All right, we'll take Javonte. I mean, at this point, you just give full capitulation. See, this is why I don't like drafting super early in the week, because it's like the discounts in the 6-person drafts relative to I tried to figure out some of these injury diagnoses before we get anything from the team. Bowers, what's the deal with Chuba? Did they say, is the Chuba a multi-week thing? Minnesota Mike says Ferg is still being slept on. I kind of agree with you. I mean, he's the tight end 1. I'm guessing it's this Q tag. It was an undisclosed injury, I think, that popped up. Has anyone seen what the actual stuff is there? Because I agree, the truly efficient ordering of this should probably be Warren, Ferguson, Kraft, McBride. What do we want to do here? Pickens versus Carolina. We already played Javonte. Tet there. Jamar Chase against Green Bay doesn't seem fun. Who are other running back options? Judkins balling out. Bucky Q-Tag. Jason's got jokes in the chat. Jason's got jokes. Jacoby Myers against that terrible Titans. Who says no? I'll tell you who says no. A chorus of DFS bros. Jacoby needs Bowers out there. You know what? I think Devontae, I mean, this Baltimore secondary, I mean, are you kidding me with this team? I mean, they're giving up, what, 2 tutties to Xavier Hutchinson? Devontae's going to ball. Jack Besh in the Bowers role. Man. It's just some sick shit, man. It's like you draft Brock Bowers just thinking like, man, if I can get a couple of those 30-point weeks and then AJ Barner drops a 30-point week and you're just like, why do I even play this game? You guys got me sold on Tucker Kraft though. I like that call. Let's do Tucker Kraft as our tight end. So we got Javonte Williams, JSN, Devontae Adams, Tucker Kraft. As we're finishing up here, appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat, commiserating, working through the losses, tinkering our processes, drafting, making pick'ems. Cooter Doodle over at Fantasy Life has her series called Scared Money Don't Make Money. My hope is that tonight, Scared Money do make money. But my schedule for the rest of the week, normal stuff. Tomorrow, special edition, ADP Chasing is back they're going to be doing a monthly show. So you're going to get double ship chasing tomorrow, ADP Chasing at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll have the Swolecast at noon. No David Kitchen. David Kitchen is off vacationing in San Diego or something. Davis, are we going to book a guest to join us, or are we doing a 2-man game on the Swolecast tomorrow? So you get ADP Chasing, Swolecast, and then in the evening, Stat Chasing over on the Ship Chasing channel, Drico and Sacrilegious. Wednesday, I'm off. Thursday, we have the triple header of Fantasy Life DFS Jam. That's when I do my first Battle Royale drafts. We got Lulz at 1:30 and the Battle Royale Bash at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you're a YouTube member, hop in the chat. We'll draft some teams. Really enjoy doing that show. And then Friday, we have the triple header as well. Block Party with Jam to Win. Bully the Sims with Uticow. And then Off and On the Clock with John and Nez. Saturday, I'll have DFS After Dark. If you guys ever have suggestions for guests, let me know. And then Sunday, the cram. And more importantly, getting back in the winners column. You guys say CD's going to be back this week? If CD's going to be back this week, then this is like a Q tag you absolutely need to be clicking. Are you guys, chat, are you lying to me? I don't have notifications turned on for these injury docs. So you guys tell me, is CeeDee Lamb playing this week? All right. If it's possible, then he needs to be a click here. Whatever. We'll swap. We'll go a 3 wide receiver build. That way we can swap to a running back. All right, now we got to figure out which quarterback we use. I feel like we could do naked dimes, or we could just play Sam Darnold again. The field's not buying it with Sam Darnold. Naked May would be fine too. Kyler Murray. Man, seeing Dylan Gabriel. That's fun. Where's Jordan Love? Jordan Love go? I assume, yeah, he went. I could also just do Stafford versus Baltimore, right? I feel like Stafford's what I would normally click here, but let's do a naked. How big is this contest, actually? I don't normally play the playbook other than in this draft. It's only 1,100 entrants. Let's do the correlation. We'll do Stafford. Stafford to Adams. Here's my first look team. Stafford to Adams, Javonte, JSN, CeeDee Lamb. We can look at some swaps if that comes to pass in Tucker Craft. There it is. The one and only team that I will draft until Thursday. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. This is going to redirect to Davis Maddox if you guys want another couple of hours of bag checking. Check out the Badge Bros Winner Circle. Again, I don't know exactly who's going to be on their Winner Circle, but I always enjoy seeing some faces to some usernames. Congratulations to all the winners. Chad, G, Brontosaurus, Fantasygrinder, obviously, and everybody in the chat here who sent along some gifts and had nice slates. Appreciate you guys. As always, very kind, very generous, and keep your head up. That's what I'm doing. I'm making Pick'em scared, but I will not be drafting scared this week. Have a happy Monday. Enjoy this Jags Chiefs game. We'll see you guys next time on the Portfolio Review.